Hello, this is the BP Learn in Hand for FYLSC Real Help. We are on part 2 of 3 of our mistake series. We're going to go through some multiple choice questions here regarding mistake, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at the document and to see the questions that we're going to cover. If not, now would be the time to go ahead and pause this video and pull that up, read those questions, and see if you can identify the correct answers. So we're going to go ahead and start with number 1. Now remember, the first thing that we always do is go to the call of the question. What we're told here is if the teller told Youth he would not accept the bicycle, and Youth asserted a claim against teller for damages for breach of contract, who will prevail? Now remember, we've got the Youth asserting the claim against the teller. So we know that even though he's named Youth and we're told he's 17 and they want to send us down the rabbit hole, that his lack of capacity to enter the contract or the fact that he was young and this is voidable at his election has nothing to do with this, because he is bringing the claim against teller. So we have to look at our answer choices. A, teller because the Youth is a minor and lacks capacity. Well, we know automatically that this is going to be one of those that we're just going to cross out, right? Because we know this isn't applicable. We know that Youth, because the contract is voidable only at the Youth selection. That doesn't have anything else. We already know that the Youth is the one bringing the claim. So he is basically waiving his right to be a Youth. He's asserting the claim. He's acknowledging the claim. And he's bringing this against the teller. So that leaves us with Youth because teller's reliance on the Youth statement was not reasonable. And then teller because he relied on a material misrepresentation. Well, we know that Youth knew that this crack was going to cause a problem. We know that he said, don't worry, it's not going to cause a problem at all. So we knew it from the fact pattern that it would be reasonable to rely on this. So we know that D can't be it. That leaves us with B, because he relied on a material misrepresentation. Now, I know you're wondering, why are these showing up in our mistake? Well, let's get on to the next ones and you'll see how these apply. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the call of the question. So assume that teller had said to Youth, I know the crack can cause a problem, but that's all right. I can have it welded and it will work well enough. If the teller then demands the bicycle, but Youth refuses, saying he has changed his mind about selling, now teller asserts a claim against Youth for damages for refusing to deliver the bicycle. Who prevails? Well, we automatically know that the Youth, this contract is voidable at the Youth selection, right? Because he's 17. So we automatically know that, and that's the answer that I know we all want to go to. So let's take a look at our choices here. So we've got teller because he waived his right. No. Teller because even a minor is responsible. No. Youth because as a minor he can avoid liability on an executory contract. Or Youth because teller could not waive his right. We automatically know that C is the right answer because we wanted it to be the right answer from the moment we read the first sentence of this question. Youth is a 17-year-old boy. We all automatically wanted to find that. I love these questions on the FYLSC. They made all of the questions go by so much quicker, and they give you a lot of self-esteem as you move on. Now on to the call of number 3. Now, the call of number 3 says, if Youth asserts a claim against teller for damages for breach of contract to accept the bicycle with serial number 100B, who will prevail? Well, remember in part 1 where we talked about modification of a contract and we talked about mistranscription, and we said that the big important overall thing here is that the intention of the parties for contracting was like the big umbrella. What was their intention? Well, we're told that there's this issue over bicycle 100B and bicycle 100A. And I think a lot of people miss this question because they don't identify the difference between A and B. And that's very important here because the specific bike that was discussed was 100A. The mistranscription was 100B. So now if we're told that the Youth is asserting a claim for failure to accept 100B, Now it kind of clicks for us, right? Because that's not what they agreed to. This was a mistranscription. They agreed to 100A, not 100B. So now what we have to do is we have to think about what our rules are. So let's take a gander at our answer choices. So who prevails? Youth, because the parallel evidence rule bars evidence that the bicycle identified in the writing is not the one Teller agreed to accept. Well, we know that parallel evidence is allowed to show ambiguity, to show fraud, to show duress, things like that. And clearly what we have here is we have a mistake, right? And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to show with our parallel evidence that we're using parallel evidence to clarify, right? To fix this, to show that the bike that was agreed on was 100A, not 100B. Now, we all know that with parallel evidence, the rule statement is, as a general rule, evidence of prior or contemporaneous agreements is not admissible to contradict the terms of a complete integrated written agreement. This is that final integration, that four corners. Well, we know that there may have been a complete agreement, but the terms are incorrect. And so we have to remember that parallel evidence is used to show or to clarify ambiguity. So youth, because the bicycle identified in the writing is a fair exchange. Well, we don't care about the fair exchange. C, because the parallel evidence is admissible to show that he never agreed to accept the bicycle, which is true. Or D, because the writing was not sufficient memorandum to satisfy the statute of frauds. Well, that's not correct. We automatically know that C is our right answer. And I think that if you missed this question, it's because you didn't identify the difference between 100A and 100B. But I guarantee you the next time you see this question, you won't miss it. So let's go to number 4. Always go to the call of the question. If Teller asserts a claim against youth for damages for breach of contract for refusing to deliver the bicycle with serial number 100B, who prevails? Now, this is going to be important because hopefully if you miss number 3, you won't miss number 4. Now, we know that the agreement for the bicycle was for 100A, right? It was not for 100B. So this means that we may have an offer, acceptance, and consideration, but what we don't have here is an agreement to sell the bicycle 100B. We have an agreement for 100A. So let's look at our choices. A, because there was a mutual mistake. Well, was there a mutual mistake here? We're told in this specific fact pattern that the teller knew that the wrong serial number had been inserted. We're also told in the fact pattern above that the youth knew that the serial number was wrong. So this is a mutual mistake, but they both knew it was wrong. And we have to stop and we have to think, what are those 3 required elements for mutual mistake? Mutual mistake says that both parties were mistaken. Well, none of these people are mistaken if they know. If they know it's the wrong serial number, then it's not a mistake. So no, this can't be mutual mistake. Now, B says youth because there was no agreement to sell his bicycle identified as 100B. Well, we know that's true. Let's take a look at the other ones. C, Teller because the mistake was unilateral on youth's part. Well, that's not true because remember, we know that unilateral means you make a mistake, one person, right? But we know that youth knew and we know that the teller knew. D, Teller because the parallel evidence rule bars evidence that the bicycle identified in the writing is 100B. It's not the one that youth agreed to sell. Well, we know that's not true. We discussed that above. Parallel evidence is allowed to clear up ambiguity and to show the true intention of the parties that were contracting. This leaves us with B, which we knew, because there was no agreement to sell the bicycle identified as serial number 100B. That was not the true intention of the parties when they came into contracting together. Now, what we have here is number 5. And I've thrown number 5 in here specifically because when you're going through the FYLC, the questions aren't as easy as this. They're not all set up in structures like you do the first 33 in contracts and the next 33 in torts are all mixed together, which means all the theories are mixed together. So in contracts, not only are you going to have to deal with mistake, but you'll have to deal with formation and performance and conditions, all mixed in with torts and contracts and crim law and murders. And so I just wanted to throw this in here to keep you on your toes. So remember, just like all the other questions, always go to the call. Can the brickworker sue to recover the value on the partial performance he rendered? Now, we know that we always have to start at the top, because if we're asked, can he sue to recover the value, then we need to know whether or not there's a valid enforceable agreement, which means we're looking for our offer, our acceptance, our consideration, and any defenses, right? So when we look at this question, what we want to look at specifically is where are we in our offer, acceptance, and consideration, and then any defenses to formation. So neither party here has fully performed the contracts, and the parties have agreed to cancel the whole contract. This is called a mutual rescission. Do you guys remember this? Mutual rescission. But remember, when mutual parties agree to a mutual rescission, most courts hold neither party is obligated to pay for any of the benefits already received because they've mutually rescinded their agreement. So let's look at our answer choices. A is it's incorrect because it doesn't matter, right? No, because the brickworker was the one who requested to the end of the agreement. It doesn't matter who requests it. If they both agreed to it, then whoever was first doesn't matter. This isn't property. Let's look at C and D now. C, because the homeowner received the value from the brickwork. Well, remember, they're not obligated to pay for any benefits they received if they mutually rescind before full performance of the contract has happened. And then the same goes for, of course, D, which leaves us with B, because there was a mutual rescission. And sometimes the correct answer is just that easy. There was a mutual rescission and the answer is B. Now let's move on to number 6. So number 6, go to the call. The court should rule in favor of. Now hopefully you've already read the question and you kind of have an idea of where you're going here. Now this is here under mistake because remember what we have here is we're going to have a lot of fact patterns where we're going to have to look at reasonable belief and a mistaken reasonable belief and our subjective and our objective beliefs, right? So all courts agree that a plaintiff's promise to waive a valid claim is sufficient consideration for the defendant's promise to pay a settlement. So remember, you can say, I won't sue you if you do this, because that is sufficient consideration. Anytime you see somebody forbearing to sue, that will be sufficient consideration. But remember that that person has to believe, they have to have a real subjective belief that the claim is valid, and that this real subjective belief was not unreasonable. It has to be a reasonable subjective belief. So here we know that Bob thinks this is his kid, right? Like Bob's not demanding a paternity test or any of this nonsense, and he's agreeing to pay for all the child support, and it's probably reasonable that his belief that this was his kid is reasonable. He's not throwing any fits about it. So Mary, because she detrimentally relied on Bob's promise, well, nothing in our fact pattern tells us she detrimentally relied on this or she changed position. B, Mary, because Bob had a reasonable subjective belief that her claim was valid. Well, that's exactly what we know as far as that agreement to forbear on suit as consideration. And then C, Bob, because forbearance to bring suit cannot count as consideration. Well, that's completely wrong. And D, Bob, because Mary merely surrendered an invalid claim. Well, at the time, she did not think it was an invalid claim. She did not believe it was. She believed it was a valid claim. Bob believed it was a valid claim. It was reasonable. It was a subjective belief that it was valid. And so our answer is B. Now, I know we went through those really quickly and we threw a bunch of theories in there, but these are the kind of questions that make you think mistake or that bring up an issue with mistake or a subjective belief, which also falls into mistake. So keep your eye out for number 3 of this series, where we'll actually go through some fact patterns and talk about how this plays into an essay.